Welcome, everybody, to the Skull Hunter Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is your all-in-one shop. If you need some assistance with your podcast, make sure to go to Anchor. That is anchor.fm, or download the Anchor app. Thank you, Anchor, for sponsoring the podcast. Joining us today, we have Joseph and we got Charles, everybody. Welcome. How you boys doing today?
Not too bad.
Pretty good.
I want to know, how are you doing, Jordan?
I'm interesting. I'm doing interesting. So today we made a final move. At the end of the month, we are moving over to Twitch. I unfortunately had to move over to Twitch. Facebook has canceled me, to say the least. They started ending my streams out of nowhere. They take revenue that they are not allowed to take. And unfortunately, it got to a point, me and my community said that it's time. After today, it was kind of that last straw. So we're going to finish out our month. We're going to finish out a month with Twitch. Or with Facebook, this will make our almost 2-year anniversary. But unfortunately, Facebook really pressed my hand. I was trying to stay with them, but me and the team, me and Brittany, we all had that conversation, and it's just not worth it. We keep having problems. We keep running into the same issues with OBS and stuff. So I'm doing good. It's just for like my career sense, it's a hit. It's definitely a solid hit. But I do know I have an amazing community. I have amazing people. I help grow people on Twitch, so I can use the knowledge I given them and try to use it for myself. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the new journey. Terrified of the way to get to the good outcome. But honestly, I'm doing good. Charles, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing really freaking great. Last night, freaking was one of the best AEW pay-per-views ever, and also freaking I'm happy that my girlfriend has moved in with the thing and living with me right now, so that we can start saving money and everything. And I'm also happy I got my 3DS of Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, which is one of the things I got when I got my text and everything after I paid all my bills and everything.
Nice. Sounds like you've been doing good.
If you wanted to do something that really freaking send your freaking Facebook side of things out on a freaking high note, just piss Facebook off even more. Just freaking do one last freaking Call of Duty freaking live stream on there, and you freaking just let me go ham or freaking cursing like crazy.
Well, I love the idea of that. I'm trying not to burn a bridge, but that is a possibility. I just need to get my minimum hours in, so we might just end up doing some streaming of just random games on there. I have to hit a minimum quota for my hours a week. So honestly, as long as we hit those, that's all that matters. So you are probably gonna be right about that. We're probably just gonna be playing like Call of Duty or something on there, and at least like tell people Twitch is a new place. Go ahead.
There's the new assault rifle that I already kind of started working on towards getting. Well, if you do with that in the challenge, unlock it in the multiplayer in Cold War, just basically do 1,000 points of damage to people in 15 different games. I already did that one. All I did was just played one game of 12 Mosh Pit. I went 40 something and 12.
Not bad. Not bad.
And I got a quad video with a freaking napalm. There's going to be a video this week.
Nice. Now, I real fast have a question about the Call of Duty Cold War. Did they release that Black Ops 1 map already?
Not yet. That's in the future update.
Okay, that's kind of what I've been waiting for. But I'm also been like, I reinstalled it, I've re-downloaded it, and so I'm gonna be playing it relatively here soon. But it sounds like your week was pretty good. Now the legend himself, though, I really want to hear. Joseph, how are you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good. I had a job interview today with a podcast network in Florida, and by my estimation, it went well. Laughter was had, and they appreciated the fact that I had been in the podcasting game for quite some time. And going to go live in Florida might actually be a possibility too. So I feel like I'm at that point now where, I have been in Toronto for a very long time, and if this is going to unfold, I'm excited for the adventure. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, I haven't gotten the job yet,
Yeah.
but that was a really promising sign because I needed that. So yeah, and another editing group reached out to me earlier today. I had been applying for positions since second week of February.
Hmm.
And some of these places have only just gotten back to me today or last week. 'Cause sometimes it can be discouraging to not hear anything in a while, but
Hmm.
oftentimes that could just be like, oh, sorry, we got so many applicants. There's just I'm sorry to tell you this, but there's a lot of people in the Philippines that were reaching out that wanted to work with us. So anyway, I understand.
Yeah.
There's some really talented people in the Philippines. I got to work with quite a few of them in my last job, and I'm in Little Manila too, which is like a Filipino area here.
Hmm.
So I've got a lot of chances to like meet them and understand more about their culture, and I admire their work ethic. I just don't admire having to compete with them for jobs.
That's understandable for many reasons.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean that's really been kind of like the main focus. I was playing a little bit more of Infinite Warfare, but I hit burnout pretty fast, and the reason why was because I put the difficulty on hardened, which is one
Mm.
below I think like legendary
Yep.
or whatever.
Yeah,
And
one of the
and
hardest ones. Yeah, I got
yeah,
you.
and I thought something that for me this is just supposed to be entertainment. I don't need to prove anything to anybody by beating on one of the harder difficulties. So next time I get back into it, I'm lowering the difficulty. I just want to have the cinematic experience. So there's that. Um, yeah, that's kind of the major milestones. Unfortunately, um, see, yeah, I've been talking about this kind of stuff like consistently since I've been with you guys, but
Hmm.
this is just me in life. Like whenever somebody asks me how I'm doing, the thing that's always top of stack is always like how work is going because
Yeah.
I always value work. I always prioritize it. So yeah, also got to edit last week's episode. Did some video editing there, so that
Yeah.
was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and it did turn out great. We'll love to hear you guys' opinions if you have any. If not, I guess that's actually a good thing. But yeah, Joseph took over the edits, let me have a little bit more time. That was obviously more beneficial for me in a sense, and he does get the knowledge out of it, like learning how to edit. And it's not a complicated edit. I'm not gonna throw him into like a Mr. Beast style edit. I don't want to do that for the podcast. But
Right now, if you could show anything of me fucking asleep.
what?
There was like we definitely showed you asleep.
We might have cut into it a few times.
Yeah,
I mean, if you
it's like
fall,
it was like
if
the
you
highlight
fall
of the
asleep,
episode. I, hey, Charles, can you sit up because you're dangerously like
I'm
entering.
more awake than I was last time. Last
That
time
is
I
good.
was freaking tired because I've been working 10 to 6, freaking back to back to back to back to motherfucking back days.
yeah, and you haven't started yawning yet. Once you do, like we're just gonna put you on the spot with like a questionnaire. Like Charles, come on, we're just like trying to give you life. Just like come on, please, please move. Joking, joke. We're all joking.
But yeah, but like if you wanted to have that adjusted in any way, shape, or form, you can always let us know.
Mhm.
Just don't wait until like a week has gone by and we've released the episode.
If you didn't know, the podcast does come out every single Monday. And if you want a topic that you want to hear discussed, make sure to leave it in the comment section wherever you find this at. I believe everywhere you can go, you can find it thanks to Anchor. So yeah, I mean, if you have any like topics you really want us to discuss, it could be even old news. You just let us know and we will talk about it. And the next podcast is always out
Or not
every
news, or
Monday.
just like
Yeah, not
opinions on
even
things.
news, but like opinions or a question or anything like that. I mean, we're open. I mean, today we don't have a lot. There's not a lot that happened. There's really not many there's not really much of a conversation to talk about, except
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but freaking I have shit that I'd like to talk about, but it has nothing to really do with the podcast.
well, and then we might dive into that in a hot minute. But if you've seen the title, you've seen the if you've seen the thumb, then you know that we're talking about Halo, unfortunately, as we all know, Halo is delayed again with their split screen slash multiplayer. It was announced back in July that we will be able to see the new split screen and everything else released sometime in March. Obviously, that got pushed back at 7 a.m. this morning on March 7th. At 7 a.m., it got pushed back. So, unfortunately, we still have to wait to be able to play with our friends throughout the campaign. There is no official date. They will refuse to give any official dates. They said expect to see it around season 2. Season 2 or midway through season 2. If you guys want to see the article, there should be a lot you can go off of, but our Game Informer article will be in the description down below, so you guys can read it yourselves. Now, the reason we're bringing this up is to inform everyone, but also I want to know you guys' opinion. Once again, we've seen this with Cyberpunk, we've seen this with Elder Rings, we've seen this with so many games. When they take time, it's more beneficial or it's worse. But they've had almost a year now for Halo, since they said they're originally going to release it, to now. And we still don't have a multiplayer
No, Halo
campaign.
Infinite has been out for a year, has it?
No, they announced they announced they were going to be releasing it in November. Like they said about releasing it in December. No, there was a release date that they were going to do it on, and they pushed it out. Was that December?
Yeah, they were going to originally release Infinite on the anniversary of Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had to push it back into December.
Okay, so yeah, so they kept pushing it out. So it's been a hot minute since they said that they were going to have it out, and they keep pushing. They continue to push stuff back. So what are you guys' opinions on them doing this? Will it benefit the game in the long run? Or are they trying to hide that maybe they just weren't prepared for an actual multiplayer on the campaign? Really want to know you guys' opinions on this.
Charles, you're more Halo than me, so do you want to...
Well, honestly, I've still been in the camp of the people who said that they should have delayed the game a bit longer and just waited till they had the whole thing ready, because then they wouldn't be having these problems. And the fact that they have to yet again push back the co-op campaign thing along with Forge and everything to another season, it just shows that they freaking needed more time to work on this game, and they're not exactly very open and communicative with the player base freaking on this game. That's why people have been leaving the game in droves. The only time you ever see me playing that game is either if I'm bored, if I'm playing it because there's freaking no real reason for me to freaking really play the game. You know, I'd like to play it more often, and I was freaking excited, and I freaking really do enjoy playing the game. I just freaking don't have the freaking interest to play Halo like I before. Freaking, I would play Master Chief Collection a lot, but freaking I have so much shit that I have to still have to do on Destiny that takes up most of my time. And now that I got freaking this 3DS and Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, that motherfucker's gonna be taking up a lot of time too!
So what you're saying is you're out of time.
My freaking work schedule freaking sucks ass, and freaking it doesn't leave very much time for me to do shit.
Dude, I feel that. So Joseph, what you say you're not big Halo, but you did beat Legendary on Halo 2. That says something. So what are your opinions on the Halo topic?
So I will say it is good for marketing when they can announce that a new mode is out, whenever that happens. So it's a way of...
Sorry?
You're good. We're having a great time, guys. It's great. It's great. So
I'm not even mad because it was just so perfect.
And you were trying to be so respectful too. You're like carefully like opening it up, like don't make noise, don't make noise, don't make noise. It was us cracking.
Were those pretzels?
Yeah.
But that's like one of the loudest snacks. There's no... Okay, well, chips generally are pretty loud, but pretzels are... Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So, there's other examples of like staggered release. For instance, in fighting games, when DLC characters are announced or levels, it's a way of keeping the game in the marketing cycle, so that way it has more opportunity to get more people's attention. It's a way of encouraging everybody to come back for like another big event. Oh, hey, the co-op is out. Everybody rejoin it. You see something like this, for instance, with ladder seasons. Ladder seasons are a great way to get people to renew their interest in something. Like with my boy Josh and I, like Diablo 2 Resurrected. When they announced the new ladder season and the date for that, there's a good chance I might participate because ladder seasons, it's a fresh start. Nobody has any items, so everybody has to start from scratch. So that's what makes it exciting. So there has to be reasons to make it exciting.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry,
Sorry, my other point about this, and then I'll throw it to the center. The thing that bothers me is how much more convoluted game development has become. You have to offer all of these different modes, and they do take different degrees of testing, and you can learn a lot if you just release the game, see how players handle it, and then you can make adjustments to it so that it's more balanced for multiplayer. So it seems to be it's a much messier process than it used to be, where you would just develop a game, then release it, and then whatever mistakes you made, you learned for the next iteration. There was less, like the sequel or whatever. There was less patching, and less involvement like that. So yeah, to me, my main takeaway is just messy. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that something like that what Joseph was talking about happened with like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel game that I play on my laptop at times. But they had this event going on where you could use Link monsters, you can only use XC's monsters, stuff like that, and that was actually a really fun event. See, I miss thinking the days of when video game publishers would just develop a game and then release it, and they have like a lot of stuff that people could do, and actually would have a lot of stuff to hold people over until they release like a DLC or two, and then all the while they're working on the next game, because that's what the Call of Duty used to be like. They would develop a Call of Duty, release like 2 DLCs at most, and then they figured while they were working on the other game, and that would hold people over. Same with freaking Halo, especially Halo 3. Now I think you got like what 4 DLCs with a bunch that added a shit ton of freaking maps into it.
Yeah.
And even on Halo 3, just that base fucking had a lot of maps and shit that you could do. Plus the freaking campaign.
Yeah, I mean, but we're also going back when you did not have to release a game every single year for like the Halo side. But once again, all those Halos were heavily played, like versus the Call of Duties, where it's like everyone was more curious about the multiplayer. Not a lot of people played the Call of Duty games for the campaign. I say a majority of people because there's more players on multiplayer versus the campaign.
I played the campaign. I usually always played it first before I played the multiplayer.
I'm the same way until I got into competitive Call of Duty, and then not saying my hand was forced, but my hand was kind of placed on multiplayer. Focus on multiplayer. Do that, because if you're not playing multiplayer, what are you really playing the Call of Duty for? Especially when you're in the competitive field. So that's kind of how my eyesight was on it.
I can see maybe just running through single player on even on an easy setting, because it will introduce you to maybe some of the unique mechanics, show you the guns, give you a sense of how the gunplay will work. But one thing that's pretty difficult is for a game single player to correctly translate into how it functions in multiplayer. Oftentimes you notice even movement changes, a lot more running around, a lot more dashing, sliding, that kind of thing. So that's one thing that I think a lot of games have struggled with, is how somebody's idea of what multiplayer is like from single player to when they join multiplayer and it turns out to be something completely different. Looking at you, Guild Wars 2.
And Destiny.
Yeah,
and people complain about thinking how they always are trying to balance single player, the raids, and multiplayer at the same time, and it's like freaking complain about how stuff is freaking shit when they try to use it in the Crucible compared to when you're doing like strikes and freaking missions and stuff with it.
Yeah, so I mean, the campaigns always have its struggles, but the thing that gets me is, so according to further down the Game Informer's list, they're saying that more than likely it'll be May 3rd when the new season starts that they will have it on. Like, they will have everything set and ready to go. Now, This is truly me. This isn't an article. This isn't nothing else. I personally think they had the same mindset as me, to where they said, let's just focus on the multiplayer. That's what more people are going to play. And then when they released, they found out there's still so many people wanting to play the campaign, to find out Master Chief's story, and that people wanted friends to play along. I think that really blew their minds, that there's still people wanting split screen, but also still want an online co-op for it, that they just get past it all, and now they see the demand. They're like, let's put it in. But let's not tell people that it was not supposed to happen, because you do, and then people are going to look at the company going, well, they've done this before, so now the next one's probably not going to be multiplayer either. So my personal opinion, I don't think they actually planned on making the campaign multiplayer, because it was supposed to be released in December, and then it was pushed out, and now we're not going to get the co-op campaign until May. And if that gets pushed out any further, that's where I'm really going to be like super hesitant, because that means the next season's out. They should be working on new maps and stuff. They should be working on trying to get more things added into the game. And it seems like they'll be wasting their time trying to put a split screen mechanic into Halo. And I'm not saying that's not useful. I'm more concerned about the outcome that I could have for their future with the games, because already they're taking longer. And I've always said I would rather a game take a little bit longer than release it all at once. And at this point, I kind of wish they held off and did not do anything. They did not release the game until everything was done. But I also understand, as a company, you're spending thousands of dollars a day, especially when you're not even releasing the game yet. And you're telling people you're releasing. Now you're getting bad publicity because you're not doing it on this date. Well, now you're forced to do it on this. I get it. But when it's all said and done, like I said, I don't think they really thought people were still be interested in playing the split screen co-op campaign. I don't think they were interested in it.
Well, I think part of the problem there is whether or not people are playing the campaign just for the story, where they just want to understand the plot and be done with it, or if there is something that they genuinely enjoy about the campaign's gameplay. Now, again, coming back to what I said about the difference between single player and multiplayer, is that in multiplayer, it's players fighting other players. Mm-hmm. So it's Master Chiefs versus other Master Chiefs. It's not like that in the campaign. In the campaign, you're fighting the Covenant and possibly other things too. I don't know, potential spoilers. But that dynamic is different, and that's by design, and that's not necessarily a detriment, because you don't necessarily expect to fight the Covenant in PvP. So. Mm-hmm. It's perfectly reasonable for players to want to re-experience that, especially in a game with the kind of free-form combat that Halo is known for, 10x, considering that this is now Halo Breath of the Wild. So wanting to do that does this seem realistic to you, to play the campaign and think, I would like to do that with a friend, to then want to actually enjoy going back to the campaign again with a friend? I guarantee you the experience will be different, and and you'll probably have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's also, I think, a point to be made about feature creep, which is, I know that term creep doesn't come up too often, at least not in this particular context, but it's about how an element of game design or production or marketing can over time influence the subject's progress. So one example of creep is if you're trying to balance, say, like an MMORPG, and over time you're dealing with power creep, where all of the classes are starting to get a little bit more powerful over time. Next thing you know, years gone by and many of the classes are unrecognizable. So with feature creep, co-op and split screen has been in there since the very beginning. And there is pressure to continue on with that, even if it's not exactly ideal for the game that they're making. It's a matter of they can't go back and not include a feature that had been in the series prior. Those are just expectations. I assume, I don't drive, but I assume that car companies deal with the same thing. Once they've put in a feature, that feature has to stick until they come up with some kind of some lateral release, where now that car has a whole different market and maybe doesn't need a particular feature.
Now, I honestly, like, make good points. But the kind of I guess honestly, like, that does make a good valid point on it. And so now, what do you see for the future of Halo, though? Like, what is it? 343. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future of that?
Well, I'll start with my prediction because I'm the least immersed in Halo, but I think Halo Infinite is going to stick around for a long time. It's more of a modular game, so there's going to be seasons. It's going to be long form content. Maybe you'll see like DLC campaign maps. I don't know, but I think if the TV show goes well, then the continuation of the Halo plot might be carried over into another format altogether. Maybe in the TV series, wants to catch up to the rest of the games, and then they move forward. Maybe they'll do Halo films. I would not expect there to be a Halo game that continues the story for a long time, at least until the next console is released.
Okay.
When I know of Halo Infinite is supposed to be the thing that they're going to be putting a lot of time and work into for quite a few years. I wouldn't be expecting another Halo for quite some time. And I know that the Halo TV series on Paramount's already been renewed for a second season, so
Good for them.
hasn't even had an episode yet. It's already been freaking renewed.
Hey, that's definitely a good sign, but also, like, it's one of the situations where if the first season doesn't do good, now your expectations for season 2 is going to go down versus it releases. Everyone's like, oh my God, this is great. And they go and get another one in. Come on, boys. Versus now they're forced to be like, fuck, this tanked. Do over. It's like, so
Hopefully the Halo series will at least be better than that freaking Defiant TV show that used to be on Sci-Fi that they made a game based off of.
That was a great idea, though, because I think at the time the game and the TV show were released in tandem with each other, so it wasn't like a spin-off or a knockoff. It was like their marketing was they wanted the game and the TV show at the same time. I didn't play the game or watch the show due to circumstance, but I thought that was a great idea. I would love to see something like that again. And
I kind of watched the show, but I didn't play the game. I don't even know if it's still even going or not. I doubt it at this point.
There needs to be a TV show for EVE Online, where they actually take events that happen in the game and just make a plot out of it. There's some crazy things that happen in EVE Online. It's gonna be a little hard to find, but there's been like entire space opera battles going on in EVE Online with like hundreds of ships. So much so that it lagged out. There's crazy stuff that goes on in that game.
Star Wars.
Much bigger. Imagine the larger scale battles and like some of the stuff you see. Well,
like the opening scene of episode 3.
Battle of Coruscant from Revenge of the Sith.
I was gonna say, so it was like the opening of episode 3.
Yeah,
I'm so lost. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
We're fucking nerds.
And that's why this podcast works, is we're all just nerds chilling. When we talk about topics, usually we all have something in our room that relates to said topic. It's like I got a Yoshi over there on the shelf that, just saying, there's some Nintendo topics that we're going to be discussing here soon. But before we wrap up the Halo topics, any last things we want to add? Because I'm good.
I'm good.
Charles?
Hopefully 343 gets their fucking shit together and fixes this shit, because if this fucking game dies before they even can get the freaking multiplayer co-op campaign in the game, I'm gonna be fucking pissed!
So any future sponsorships with Microsoft, I'm so sorry.
Trust me, I'm probably on Microsoft's shit list half the time.
You know what? That's
Gearbox probably doesn't like me because I freaking uploaded that video a while back doing the whole Randy Pitchford bullshit.
I would say that companies aren't going to look at like one person and being like, I hate this guy. But I will say this, though, like, I do know how spiteful some people are in the companies who run social medias for them. You know what? It's highly possible. You don't think about it, but it's highly possible. So we're going to move on to our next topic, but I want Joseph to take the lead because he knows more about this, and it has to do with Nintendo. Joseph, take it away.
Nintendo has released a missions and rewards update for Switch Online that allows players to earn platinum points by playing games and more, similar to Xbox's Game Pass quest system. So, as the headline reads, not quite achievements, but incentives for players to receive some sort of currency that they can use to purchase other things. And the reason why I pulled up this article is because I wanted us to have a little bit of a conversation about incentives for players. Obviously, we're incentivized for fun and for competition, but there have been a number of systems throughout the console's spans that have incentivized players to do certain things. And the big one I'm thinking of course, are achievements. Now, if you guys remember the conversation we had last week about like, you know, what's our play style, what games do we choose, like what I was talking about with Resident Evil. So what I wanted to know is what's been your relationship with achievements? What's been your relationship with these added incentives, quests, completing things? Jordan, how do you usually treat this?
Actually, I'm gonna give it a long answer. So I actually want to hand this off to Charles. Charles, how do you incentivize with achievements?
When Halo 3 was like the main Halo game that's out at the time back in the day, I was one of those people that was trying to get like all the skulls and certain achievements so I can get like the Hayabusa armor. And hopefully, if I'm lucky, if we could be able to get the recon armor since everybody and their mother was losing their shit over that. You can only unlock certain armor. It's either by doing certain things, like getting certain achievements, or getting to a certain rank in the multiplayer.
Yeah, so that was your incentivization for I don't know if I'm using that word right, but that was your reasons to get achievements and stuff, was just to unlock more in-game content, or that what led you to unlock in-game content?
I think if you find all the terminals and the skulls in Halo 3, you also unlock armor sets too, but I don't remember.
Yeah, no, that's right. Because I did it all on the Xbox 360. I did it all in. I don't think I've done it all in the Master Chief Collection. I'm a lazy man.
Okay. Since you said you have a long answer, so I'll just say mine as well. Like,
yeah,
I honestly, the last time I really remember chasing achievements was in Team Fortress 2, but achievements were tied to weapon unlocks. So in order to get the additional gear, I had to complete achievements on characters. So that's why I did it. I don't think I've been motivated to do any achievement hunting or trophy hunting, frankly, ever since. But this Nintendo thing, it could function as one because the rewards are tied to something tangible outside of the game, like a keychain, or it says here a cable holder. So little doodads, little trinkets, not paying off a mortgage, but
yeah.
it is nice to have some kind of token to commemorate the achievement. Okay, Jordan, do it.
Okay, so now you're talking about like actual like little knickknacks and achievements and stuff. I think if like I don't know if this is what you're saying is Nintendo's like doing that to where it's like giving you like little cable holders and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the article.
Okay.
So it's like their Nintendo-fied way of achievements, but not strictly speaking the traditional achievement system that we usually think of.
Okay, well, I will say to base off that note, that's a great idea, and because we all buy little knickknacks for our favorite games, so if we're getting like actually sent something for our achievement for beating the entire game, getting all the side missions done and things like that, if we get like a little knickknack, it could be something like a D&D character for like Skyrim or something. That's a cool little like achievement thing you get. Now I'll say with like, will that incentivize me to actually go achievement hunting? Hell yeah. Yeah, for the little gamer score I get to an actual like item, it incentivizes me a lot. So I'm actually holding up me and Charles. We've been talking about going on a Borderlands spree where we're playing all the Borderlands. The problem I have with it is there's 5 Borderlands games or 6, and I'm over here. I want 100% them. So I'm over here holding us back because I'm trying to get 100%. And it's the same thing with Resident Evil. I will play Resident Evil about 8 times in one day to get all the achievements. Getting achievements is a big deal for me. It's always happened. It incentivizes me to play a game because then uninstalling that said game is the best part about it is because you're done. You're completely done with it. If you're sick and tired of the game, you don't have the friends that play it anymore, you 100% the game, you uninstall, you look back at it going, why do I need to reinstall this? I've played it. I don't have time either to like go back and reminisce through a game. So it's like, instead I could watch someone
And
else play it.
also, just to, sorry to interrupt for a second there, but
go ahead.
also just the core gameplay in of itself would not be motivating because maybe it's part of a series and you've moved on to another one anyways.
No, so like for an example, there's a few games out there that has a good story. Like I'm trying to think of like an actual good Walking Dead. It has a good story, but you don't play it more than once to, just because you're like, man, this story's great. You play it again so you can get the achievements. You don't go back through it so you just see, oh, if I do this, maybe it changes the outcome. No, that's not enough. Like certain games where it's truly different, like you could go through Skyrim for an example, and I bring back that because it's such a well-known game for its achievements, for its storyline, and how you control the game. So I keep going back to Skyrim because of like that's a prime example of like you can play it at different times and have different outcomes through the whole entire game, even though it's the same thing when it's all said and done, but you kind of control how it's the same, how it's different. You might have to kill the same creature. Are you different, or is the storyline now different because you were helping the orphanage down there and then your new character, you burned it down? Like, so you literally control how you see the future game outcome.
I will say I totally support achievements, even if I personally don't do them.
Yeah.
It's just out of a time thing. It's out of an immersion thing too. It's one thing to be synced up with the story and the plot beats and wants to move forward with that. It's another thing to now veer off and go do smaller things that become, I hate to say it, but more menial, that are tied to an achievement, but not necessarily are getting my blood pumping. So there's that. But I still really think it's a wonderful thing for so many reasons. One of them is especially for budget reasons. If somebody doesn't have very much money for very many games, the ability for them to extract more value and do so in a way where they're guided by the developer is great. I think if it's a game that's going to be like a lock for somebody, where they're going to commit to it in the long run, like with Team Fortress 2, for instance, achievements are a great way to teach the player some other mechanics and skills that they might not necessarily be interested in doing. Because there's 9 classes and they're all pretty different. So typically, most players lean towards 3 or 4 of the 9 classes and have a couple of main ones. But having achievements on all of them gets the players to try out all of the different classes and maybe be surprised to discover something that they didn't previously like. And then another smaller thing too with the Nintendo Platinum system that I thought was really helpful is that even if I myself, for instance, I receive these trinkets and doodads and I don't really care for them, it is something that I can just gift to other people. Hey, so I can play games and I can actually get maybe get a poster or get a little figurine or maybe an amiibo if people can actually earn that kind of value. I doubt it, but
start sending us NFTs. Just
well,
start.
I can't gift anybody NFTs yet, but
one day,
yeah. So yeah, I honestly, I was actually surprised to see Nintendo even do it. I'm not saying they're cheapskates, but it is great to see that they're willing to help to give people a little bit more motivation, especially if I think for smaller games who they do struggle to have a large enough audience. And so for each player to have more of a reason to play it, maybe share it with their friends. So it's great. It's great. It's a way of doing the loyalty system that you might see in like going to a coffee shop where you have a card, you buy 9 cups of coffee, you get your 10th one free. This has a lot of that same kind of DNA.
It's a nice incentivization.
You play, you fulfill these roles. We'll give you a little something extra.
So now, how would we feel if like? It would be hard for someone like Microsoft to implement this because there's millions of achievements out there. But how would we actually feel if, like, for the next round of Xbox consoles where the games don't cross promote, or like it's a set console and the set game does it. How would we feel if Xbox started taking that idea?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. It's all about sharing ideas across the different systems. I mean, Nintendo did come up with the whole motion control thing, and then it wasn't long until we had PS Move and Xbox Connect. So I see it happening. Though what will be interesting is if you have like cross-platform games, which based off previous news is less and less likely, but still possible. Is what'll happen is if you have a game that's released on multiple systems and maybe even the computer, but there's different incentive systems. So you play it and beat it on the Switch, and you get some things, but then if you played it and beat it on the Xbox, you get like a different set of things. Would that motivate a player to just play the game twice? I don't know. But it might motivate a player to decide to play it on one over another, if they have access to both, let's say, to then receive certain prizes for one over another. I wonder like how generous they're willing to be about, like, imagine playing these games and actually earning free months on the subscription service. It'll help people save money, maybe go online, so that way they can enjoy some of the online features for a little bit.
Wondering that generous question, like that would definitely be like the one I would be thinking, because if they give you digital content, that would be great. I don't feel like they would do it though. I feel like it's easier to buy 1,000 keychains for $100 and then just it's a penny or half a penny to do that. So like I kind of look at that going, they'll probably end up doing the physical stuff. Plus, if they make you sign up for your email, they can then sell that information out and go further along in with what they need to do. So yeah. So do we have any last final opinions on our achievement topic?
I bet at least if they have freaking achievements for freaking Pokemon games that I've played, freaking, I better have at least almost all of them for freaking Brilliant Diamond and freaking into Sword, because freaking I've put a lot of freaking progress, especially in the freaking Brilliant Diamond, because Brilliant Diamond, I had freaking, it's the first Pokemon game I've ever played. I actually completed the freaking base game Pokédex, so I could be able to freaking, so I'd be able to do this one thing that I wanted to do.
Well, Pokemon had one of like the OG achievements, which was to acquire all of them.
Oh yeah, that was like the unspoken, everyone knew achievement is.
Oh,
to get
it was
all
spoken.
Of them.
The only way I could unlock the national
You
deck.
got to catch them all. It's just you technically beat Pokemon Red or Blue if you defeat the Elite Four and then Gary. Spoilers. But the other arguably equally important thing was to catch them all, which you couldn't do. You had to use a game.
That was also a hidden boss in the game.
There was what in the game?
Hidden boss where if you beat every single freaking trainer in the game, you can battle Oak, who has apparently the strongest team in the game.
In Pokemon Red? Holy crap! I didn't know that.
It was either Red or freaking it was one of the old ones. I just know that if you beat all the trainers in that game.
And you're talking about like all of like the jobbers who
all the jobbers,
all the guys with the exclamation mark above their head. They walk up to you and said, "It didn't itch that much this morning, but it's getting really out of hand."
Copyrighted.
Oh, I bet we can all
only way I can
make
get
that
the
tone
national
right.
decks and get all the other Pokemon that are supposed to be in the game in Brilliant Diamond is if I found all 150 something freaking Pokemon in the base game of Brilliant Diamond, and it was a fucking bitch just to be able to find them all. I didn't have to catch them all; I just had to see them.
You also learn a little bit about inflation with the Pokemon series, because it's like, yeah, I'm a Pokemon master. I caught them all. Well, no, you didn't. Not anymore, kid.
When this happened, at least in Brilliant Diamond, all I had to do was just see them. I didn't have to catch them all because there's one Pokemon I haven't caught yet that was on the freaking champions team at the end of the game, and her freaking Garchomp was freaking my bitch after I freaking one-shotted that motherfucker. And that was supposed to be a
If you only
fucking
have to
demon
see and
spot.
not catch them, we call that voyeurism.
I call that stalking.
Spawned from hell, thinking I can one-shot people's teams
Yeah.
and destroy people's entire teams just by itself. And I figured took that thing, bent over, and fucked its fucking ass! Negatively.
Okay, so I was gonna make a lazy comment, but Charles is physically active in so many inappropriate ways to a poor Machamp.
The fucking guard chop, that motherfucker can go to hell as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm at least happy that you're having a really good time playing Pokemon. If you talk to a normal stranger though, I'm pretty sure they'll be like, I'm sorry you feel that way about Pokemon. But I get the struggle though. Like I remember playing on the Game Boy Advance, and it was constantly trying to catch them all. And then it's like you sometimes get to this Pokemon and you get to the trainers and you're like, yeah. Oh wait, my Charizard's 50, but you're using a Blastoise, huh? Interesting. And then you're just like when you're able to get him, it's like, yeah, you're in my basement now. So I get it where you're excited about it, but
I love how like I love how like red and blue taught you that life isn't fair. Like if one brother gets red, the other brother gets blue, and then they finally battle at the end. Like the Charizard just gets his ass kicked.
Dude, if you guys even knew half the stories about the freaking champion and Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl, you would know why freaking it's such a big deal that I was able to beat her. I don't know, like my second or third attempt, I forget.
Well, I don't
Also,
beat women.
Fuck.
You let him win?
Yeah. Yeah,
Just the gentlemanly thing to do.
Yeah, that's how I'm in a 5-year relationship. So it's happening. I am physically and mentally abused. Send help. But no, I mean, so I'm honestly, if Nintendo does go through with this, I am really excited about it. And I hope that other companies will follow through because I imagine this is what's going to happen. The first 100 people that get this achievement will be sent one-of-a-kind rare collector. That will drive their margins up so much if they did that. Like the first 1,000 people to beat Elder Rings will get an actual ring engraved Elder. It has Elder Rings completion. It has an actual numbers on it. Like it's a cheap cost that they can easily do, and it will incentivize people to play it like crazy to get the achievements.
So
I've heard it both ways. I've heard it both ways. Okay.
Well, one of those ways is wrong. So
I've never had anyone say that to me. Oh, that's great.
The Switch even be able to play Elden Ring? People with freaking gaming PCs are having problems with the game, for Christ's sake.
You have to ask someone who actually is playing it, because I don't know.
I don't think it'll run well. They'd have to scale it back quite a bit.
And get like 8 FPS a second. Like, I don't see that actually being able to work. But, I mean, technology is crazy. So, who
Even
honestly
Breath of
knows?
the Wild is kind of like, on the Switch. I mean, it's fine, but it's not smooth as butter. I bought Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. I was, like, physically upset at how poorly it ran. Like there's like little chugs here or there a person can live with, but I went to a stable and it was like a slideshow. That's how bad the frame rate was. I know video games are just video games. Life is life. There are things more important than video games. But I was pissed.
It's finding Breath of the Wild until you freaking get shot by some dude's laser from freaking an impossible direction, and he's like hiding behind something. It's like, how the fuck did you shoot me from that far away while you're behind that thing?
Yeah, I was watching someone do a challenge video for Breath of the Wild, and it was like they were trying to jump on the backs of like those crab things and stuff like that, trying to go from back to back to back on them. And I was like, oh, this seems like a pain in the... Yeah, Guardians. And I was like, this seems like a pain. I wouldn't do it, but now I'm looking at the Zeldas going, I could start with Breath of the Wild. I won't understand what's happening, but I can start there. So like,
look up a video. Look up a video. There's freaking lore videos on freaking what the hell happens in Breath of the Wild up the rear end.
See,
well, I mean, Zelda is about reincarnation, so even if you haven't played all of them in order of release, it's not it's not technically chronological, but also it is chronological. I know that made it worse, but like the Link you play in Breath of the Wild is a different Link. He reincarnates over time, so you don't need to worry about like being lost in the story. You just enter Breath of the Wild and you'll be caught up.
As far as I know, from what I've learned, Breath of the Wild is like this point where the whole newest timeline starts with the whole thing. This whole thing, it's like the point where all the other timelines freaking converge, as far as I know.
Okay.
There's places and references to the other games.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like.
So I got a question though. What about Zelda?
He's in the game.
Oh, I mean, I can answer the question, but I'd have to spoil it.
You've been warned, audience. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead. Like,
Okay,
what's going on with Zelda? Because is she being reincarnated too? Is she a vampire? Is she like? I need to know.
So, this is what you learn from Skyward Sword, which is the first in the timeline, a timeline which at a certain point branches off into multiple timelines. So Zelda is actually Hylia, the goddess of time.
Okay.
And she's reincarnated as Zelda. So Zelda is basically a goddess, just in human form. But you know, she does take mortal form, so she still ages. She passes on. Other Zeldas, you know, take the mantle, but the form will just like, you know, re-enter at different points. So yeah.
Okay, so a follow-up question though is, so why is Link saving her? Like, why is that a constant thing? Why is Link
Well, there's
going out
three
his way and doing
the
that?
Triforce, which is like the holy relic in Hyrule, is comprised of 3 pieces: power, wisdom, and courage.
Okay.
There is this curse that's created at the beginning of the series, chronologically in Skyward Sword, where Zelda, the spirit of the hero, which is Link, except for the fact that prior to, in most of these games, you could actually name whatever you want. So Zelda, K, X, 0, D, F, or M. And then the Spirit of Darkness, which is usually Ganon, but sometimes it takes on different forms as well.
Okay.
So again, because the series is about reincarnation, so it's always about these 3 representatives of the 3 pillars of their holy relic are constantly at odds with each other. Obviously, Link and Zelda usually get along, but sometimes Zelda has her own motives as well.
Okay.
Now, I have my own personal theory.
Game once.
This is not like this is just something that I think. But you know how oftentimes people will confuse Link for Zelda because the game is called Zelda and they think, oh, you play as Zelda. See, I think Link actually is Zelda, and that Link is just a human male recreation of Zelda, so that rather than her have to trust some rando to save it, she actually just made like her own version of herself in a different form, so that she knows she could always trust a conduit between the world and the player to help her in a jam.
Talk about trust issues. Like, oh my god.
So John, you'd just be better off.
You're the goddess. Who do you look to?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably do it, especially with some of the older Zeldas, because you have to read through it. And we've already had this conversation before. I don't like reading or I don't like reading something I'm playing or watching. If I'm doing that, I shouldn't have to put more brain power into it. If I can settle at a nice 15 IQ going through a game, all I need. You bring me into puzzle games, no. I love them. I have mind puzzles on my phone. I have to do like 2 hours a night, just because if I don't, I feel like I'm actually going to lose brain cells. But it's good for your brain. It also can help prevent Alzheimer's. That does not run in my family, but it's also like, it does happen, so I don't want that to happen. But I mean, so I'll definitely watch up a tutorial. But yeah, I had no idea that was a whole entire situation. Honestly, I don't feel like that really spoiled much for me, because when it's all written as realistic, I'm probably not gonna be able to go back and play like all the Zelda games properly.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as like how do these things go, most people can predict how a Zelda game will end. It's not. It's oh, Zelda's rescued.
It's like asking,
Alright.
how does this Mario game end? Well, you see,
Yeah.
Peach is captured,
I wonder
And
what
she
will be the
saves.
result of these Olympic events. Like some things you just figure it out. It's the smaller details along
Mhm.
the way that make it compelling. And I've had to like explain this to other people before, like in public, where if somebody's like, "Oh, Zelda's the same thing over and over again. Link just rescues Zelda," and I'm like, he nailed it, but also it's the overarching plot that connects the Zelda games together that's much more interesting,
Mhm.
because how Zelda is an adventure puzzle, trying to understand how all of the games fit in this timeline is actually a puzzle in of itself, and that's what makes it fun. That's what people are drawn to,
There's 3 separate timelines.
that we
At
know of.
first, besides the Breath of the Wild one, that started with Skyward Sword. That's just the hero succeeds one. There's one where he failed, and then there's one that was like in between. I think.
Okay, so now let me ask the question now. What if Link got a Glock? Like,
I
would
would say
it
freaking that thing is as useless as trying to use a freaking slingshot on Ganon.
Well, the bullets have to be endowed with the ability to destroy evil. Otherwise, it's about as useful as his bow and arrow. But you
It's
still
literally
kill
the
a
only
man.
weapon that
I'm
can
just
hurt
saying,
Ganon is Link's sword.
there's magic involved.
okay,
It's like
less the fucking Glock then. It's like, but
a whole fucking backstory to why the sword's the only weapon that can hurt Ganon. Freaking
and
stinks.
and
Skyward
I'm
Sword.
cool with that. Like how when I get to the Zelda games, I'll probably go ahead and do that. But right now, it's Borderlands and Resident Evil right now that I currently have in my eye. And Borderlands is just to get all the achievements that, like I said, I only have 5 more achievements left, and I'm so ready to uninstall that game. So many glitchy achievements to it, and I can't wait for Borderlands 2. I can't imagine how it will be glitchy. That's crazy. But so yeah, I mean that's kind of our history lesson for Zelda a little bit, or I should say Link and Zelda. So the fans don't attack me for it. Now I do got a question. This is a stupid question. We're getting towards the end of our podcast, and I just want to ask like a stupid question, kind of like an all timers. But if you had to be allergic to a color,
Pink.
hold up.
Yeah, think about that for a second, Charles.
So allergic to a color. If you touch it, it like the reactions. If you see it, it burns your eyes. Like it like kind of like feels like you touched like something in your eye. Like it starts like affecting your eyes and stuff. If you had to be allergic to a color with that kind of outcome, what would it be?
Okay, before I answer this, I assume that we're not going to be pricks about this and go into like those hyper specific colors that you only see at paint
No,
stores.
if you say a dark form of green that doesn't match the grass, I'm not gonna be like, well, all you need likes to say it. No, just tell me what you want.
This is a really good question.
Yeah, I was just like, how can we make a little brain teaser in it? Like, how can we think of something that actually like pops up the question? So if you guys have any suggestions or want to know, or not want to know, but if you guys want to sit there and play along, leave it in the comment section down below. Tag your favorite friends and have them answer the question. If you had to be allergic to a color, what would it be? Charles, besides pink, I don't think you really want to be allergic to that. Breast cancer is a bitch. So what color would you be allergic to?
Puke green.
Puke green. So any Mustang that drives past you is cool. You're on pay for that. But I mean that's fair. What Master Chief color is kind of puke green. No, that's military green though. No,
Hold
I
on,
guess
isn't
that kind of
green
works.
kind of cheating here? Isn't that a little specific?
Well, like I mean, it's a form of like a green and brown. So I don't know. Okay, Charles, just go ahead and pick another one. Let's see another one.
Metallic gray. Like the freaking how some of the guns in Borderlands 2 look.
Metallic gray. Okay, so I can kind of see that. So some cars would you just have to like wear like different color sunglasses so you don't see it. So
Like the
that's not
purple
gonna work.
rarity flat off guns, freaking of like what I'm talking about. You know how they look like all white and silvery-ish?
Yeah.
Especially E-Tech guns.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with like the most. Sorry, is it my turn?
yeah, it's your turn.
I'm gonna start with the most primary of colors that I think I can get away from, which is brown.
Okay.
I don't have too many foods that are brown. And although they
Cantaloupes,
all turn brown in the end, um,
kiwis.
I don't have to look. So I think I can, and as long as I'm practiced enough that I don't think I'm gonna get it on my hands. So I think I can get away from brown effectively. I will need a new desk though.
Potatoes.
Say goodbye to the potato skins, dirt.
Well, this wasn't an easy question,
No,
but
I didn't want it to be an easy question
yeah,
because that also means cardboard and like there's so much like stuff. But
yeah. Now, if I can refine
made of
that and go
wood.
over something more specific,
yeah,
I would like to try to get away from, there's that navy blue where it's just dark enough that you might think it's black, but then like you look at it carefully, and it's like,
yeah.
oh no, that's not black, that's navy blue.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to eliminate that uncertainty from my life. So navy blue is my answer for the more like paint store colors.
Okay. Honestly, I did not have one immediately, but it's gonna sound weird though. Orange. And the reason orange is because you can easily fight it. Because you don't have to touch anything orange anywhere you go. If you look at orange, you can wear
Actually, this one might be-
sunglasses and avoid it. A lot of the stuff you get, because sunglasses, orange is just orange and brown are colors that are manipulated to make it color. So you can manipulate like just wearing sunglasses. Like, hell, I can even put these on and it would manipulate. Yeah, manipulates the color orange. So you can manipulate it so your eyes don't have that same effect. So, and also, what are you gonna buy that's does it have Gucci and engraved on it? Looks like those stupid Gucci glasses, but that would be kind of hard to avoid orange.
Yeah, these are blue light blockers.
So are these.
I don't use these too often, but at least I have no doubt that these work.
You know what? That's fair. But I mean, honestly,
God, they
like
work.
but I would do orange because there's nothing in your life you have to get that's orange. Yes, oh, you can't eat carrots. Who's over there going, I could crave a 6-foot carrot? No one. Like, I don't have to have this. And colors on screens, you can adjust your colorblind settings. Boom.
Can't watch
Don't have
any
to worry
more
about it.
Hollywood films.
I'm not a big fan, anyways. And like I said, I mean, color correction. For a lot of stuff that's digital, color correct it. But no, I feel like orange is probably the one color that I can get away from, and I don't see it in my life. But I want, until the next podcast comes out, I want you guys to like think of that color, because you're gonna see it 10 times more because you're thinking about it. I want to see what actually will affect you in your day-to-day life with orange, or with your color brown. And
if
Charles'
this
color.
challenge were to actually start for real, I'd be dead before we finished recording.
I'm just gonna think about this freaking bag of pretzels if I'm gonna finish this shit before it goes bad.
Yeah, see the
Pretzels
pretzels.
don't
See,
go bad.
if I didn't
Oh
think
god,
about
pretzels
orange.
are brown.
It's such a low radar color, despite it being one of like the mainline ones, and yet it just doesn't show up. So yeah,
Yeah.
in a week from now, one of us will ask somebody else, "Aren't you glad you picked that color?" Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, well, Joseph is no longer allowed on the podcast. It's unfortunate. So he's gone. He left. He didn't turn off his Discord for some reason. But we're kind of wrapping into the end of our podcast. So the truly last thing I wanted to bring up is so if you're interested on starting a podcast, this is not a plug for Anchor, even though they are our sponsor. This is not a plug. So
Sorry.
you're good. It's funny. So if you ever want to start a podcast, now is literally your time. Like, I know Anchor does pay us to say these ads, but it's the point. If you want to start your podcast, Anchor is a great place to do it. There are so many creators on TikTok and everywhere else that are starting their podcast right now as we speak, and they are using Anchor for a reason. They are the host. They do everything for you. All you have to do is connect your emails to the sites that you want them to be posted on, and they take care of it for you. You want to start a blog with your podcast, they do everything for you. You have a Q&A for your podcast that you would like to put out there, they take care of that for you. Put your Q&A in there and they'll take care of it for you guys. So I'm just saying this, like, right now, if you want to start your podcast, I do highly recommend Anchor, and I do appreciate them sponsoring our podcast. But you got nothing to lose. You literally got nothing to lose. It takes a few seconds. Say what you want to say. And if the podcast isn't for you in general, at least you can say you tried. Highly recommend starting the podcast. But while we sell ourselves out, Charles, where can people find you?
Watch me if we can continue, if we can geek out about wrestling related stuff, and want to see if we can at least somewhat decently edit it together video game related videos. And the occasional freaking live stream where I'm watching wrestling with friends and stuff, and maybe if we can NASCAR one here and there every now and again, just depends on what race it is, whatever. You can find that on my YouTube channel, CJ the Lone Wolf, and I just did a live stream the other night where I pretty much reacted to AEW's newest pay-per-view by myself, besides when a couple of my friends came in my live chat, which I'm freaking surprised you didn't even pop in at any point, Jordan.
I did. I popped in for a second. I commented on there.
I didn't see it.
Oh, I promise you, I was there. I stopped in for a minute.
But I didn't see them one yesterday. I know you were in there my first one.
Yeah, you went live yesterday. I hopped in. You talked about I can tell you why I know. I jumped in there and you were talking about a guy hit another guy who was like not the wrestler, but he was like the referee. Like someone hit the referee or something like that. Like I know you sat there and stated that in the wrestling, like someone hit someone who wasn't supposed to be hit or was hit in the last fight. I did stop in. I said, "Yo, bro, popping in," but of course my shit's going crazy. But I did pop in. I remember you saying something about like someone got hit who wasn't involved in the fight. He got smacked up. If I'm correct, awesome. Then our friendship is intact. If not, ban me.
I still don't know how to make people moderators on that thing.
Oh, I will control everyone. So yeah, CJ the Lone Wolf. Make sure to check him out. Joseph, where can people find you?
Cool. Well, since we talked a bit about Zelda, there was this Zelda podcast that I tried to get going. It was called the Hylian, which is the race of people that live in Hyrule. Another podcast came out also called the Hylian, and that kind of took the wind out of my sails to like, okay, well, I came up with the name first, but they actually like produced it first. Yep. So I've renamed it to Hyrule Lanes, and it's something that I would like to start getting the ball rolling again. It's totally low key. If you're a Zelda fan and you just want to like talk about your experience with it, we just have a one-on-one shoot the breeze. So yeah, very, very low key, very chill. I haven't released an episode in like 2 years, so it's like probably longer than that. So it's something that I would like to get back to. I didn't hear what you guys said.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Go on.
And then yeah, if you want to see what else I'm up to, you can head on over to giantenemycompany.com. And then head over to my YouTube channel, Giant Enemy Channel, where you see me talk about Battle Legion, which is a mobile game that I think really sets the standard for what mobile games are capable of. I think if there's one misunderstood format out there, it's mobile games. There's some good reasons why it's misunderstood, just money. But there's also a lot of really good qualities in mobile games as well. And so having played one for 2 years straight, you can see what it's like once you've committed to one and you've had some time to invest in it and see how things progress. So, which it can be limiting for people to like get into these games and realize, man, it's gonna take me forever to get anything. Is it gonna be worth it? It can be. So I'm pretty passionate about that too. And then I look forward to next week. Let you guys know how my search situation is going, because I'm certain other people are dealing with stuff like this too. And hopefully I'll have even better news than I had this week.
Awesome,
I
dude.
thought it was something about Raid Shadow Legends or something.
Whoa, they're not paying us, bro. They can.
That bit was retired.
I was just telling you, was talking about mobile games. I thought he was still bringing that bit back.
If you want to learn about good marketing, Raid Shadow Legends.
Hey, you know where you can find me at Skull Hunter Games? Forget about that Raid Shadow Legends stuff. If you want to play a good brain teasel, play a wood puzzle. That's literally what it's called. It helped your brain cells. But
I hate to defend it, but Raid is good. Anyways.
It's good, but I want to get paid if I'm gonna promote their amazing game.
Fair.
So if you want to find me, guys, I'm on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and now Twitch. Go ahead and find me, Skull Hunter Games. You type that in literally anywhere, and you're gonna find me. Even in the Google, that was actually cool. You type in literally my name, Jordan Mole, or you type in Skull Hunter Games, and I pop up everywhere. It's the best feeling ever. I love it. And if you want to find this podcast, go to anchor.com and search up Skull Hunter Games. You can find us there. Or search up anywhere else you sit there and listen to your podcast from. That could be Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Literally anywhere you go, you find our podcast is right here for your lovely ears. We have time codes in our description, so if you just want to skip to a certain topic we talk about, it will be titled it a little bit. It's going to have the time mark. You click that, it brings you right to where we talk about it, so it helps you when you're on the go. And last but not least, I know I plugged them already, but thank you, Anchor, truly, for sponsoring the podcast. Anchor is your all-in-one shop. You start your podcast, you end your podcast. You can do it all from the app or the website. It is easy to use. They literally walk you through it. Now they even put a quick tool in there so you can quickly get your podcast uploaded or quickly done. So go to anchor.com or download the Anchor app. That is anchor.com or download the Anchor app today. Guys, we did another successful podcast. Woo! Episode 15. What a one. Charles, sell us out. Goodbye, everybody. Woo!
That's awesome.
You guys see that TikTok where the guy was in New York? He kind of looks like Pete Davidson. He's like, "Hey, I'm walking here," and then this lady, like this New York loco, she goes in. She's like, "We don't talk like that. We don't talk like that."
Oh,
Sorry. And she walks away. He's like, "Forget about it." And then the video cuts out, but I assume she punches him out cold.
Like this podcast. I've seen that. Except I don't think it's real.